There's a lot of new spells and changes to the priest in Mist of Pandaria Classic, and those I'll be covering in this guide. In Cataclysm, we got Leap of Faith. This you can now combine with a new spell, Void Shift, that you learn as Discipline and Holy. It will swap your health with your targets, so let's say you're for example at 100% health and your target is at 50%, well then both of you will be swapping. It also works the other way around, so if you're low health, well then you can swap with another target with more health and that way be healed instantly. The cooldown of Shadow Fiend used to be 5 minutes, this has been reduced to 3 minutes, and later in the video I'll also cover a new talent that allow you to have a 1 minute cooldown. Hymn of Hope is still available to all the different specializations, but your Divine Hymn has been changed. This is only available to Holy Priest, so it's not going to be something you could for example use as a shadow to heal all your different raid members. The mana cost of your Light Will has been reduced, but the cooldown is still the exact same. As a Discipline Priest you get a completely new spell, Spirit Chill. Instead of healing the targets for the next 10 seconds, you will instead be stacking absorption shields. Yeah, you can continue to improve the shield as long as you just continue to spam heal the target, and this shield will last for 15 seconds. In Cataclysm, Atonement used to be a talent you had to pick in the Discipline tree, but this time around it will be learned by default the moment you reach level 60, so you will no longer have to decide if it's going to be a talent you would like to pick or not. In my opinion, the biggest change to Discipline Priest has to be Penance. Not because of the cooldown being reduced or the mana cost, no, simply because we can get ourselves a new glyph that allow us to be moving and casting Penance at the same time to either deal damage or heal a target. Chakra is still on a 30 seconds cooldown, but the different benefits or buffs has been changed, some of them even been improved. So if you'd like to use this, well then you should definitely also be looking forward to the upcoming changes. As a Shadow Priest you will have a new resource bar, Shadow Orbs. These you generate by either casting Mind Blast or Shadow Word Death. You can have a total of 3 Shadow Orbs, and the more Shadow Orbs the greater effect on your Devouring Plague, as you will need Shadow Orbs to be casting different abilities, such as your Physic Horror. You can use 1 Shadow Orb and cause the target to be feared in horror for 1 second, but if you use a total of 3 orbs it will be lasting for 3 seconds. The disarm effect of the weapons and shield will last for 8 seconds no matter the amount of orbs you consume. We can also get access to so many new spells in the talent tree, for example Void Tendrils that will root up to 5 enemies within 8 yards of you. In PvE it can last up to 20 seconds, in PvP 8 seconds. If you think this is already overpowered, well then be looking forward to all the other talents in a moment, because those are making the priest so much more fun to play in Mist of Pandaria over Cataclysm. Your other choice is going to be Psyfiend. This is where you summon a guardian that will attempt to fear all nearby enemies, so you will no longer need to run close to other people to fear them. No, you can just summon your guardian and even cast a shield on this. Your last option is Dominate Mind. It works the exact same way as Mind Control, but this spell has been removed by default. At level 30 you can pick a new passive, Body and Soul. Every time you cast a Shield or Leap of Faith on a target, you will increase that target's movement speed by 60% for 4 seconds. What I prefer instead is Angelic Feather. This is where you can drop different feathers on the ground. You can have a total of 3 of these at the same time, and the recharge time is going to be 10 seconds for each of these. When you move into these feathers, your movement speed is being increased by 80% for 6 seconds, and yeah, they work for friendly players too. This is especially why I like to bring a priest when I'm dungeon farming on my monk. They can just continue to increase my movement speed, so I can easily pull enemies and stack them together. The last option is a passive for your Fate. Every time you use the spell, you'll remove all movement impairing effects and also make your movement speed unhindered for the next 5 seconds. But I usually don't choose this talent. Solace and Insanity provide something for all the different specializations, but it's not really that great, at least not for Discipline and Holy. Yeah, it will grant a bit of mana, but I don't find it that useful. Mindbender is going to be a way better choice for your mana efficiency, as it will reduce the cooldown of your Shadow Fiend down to 1 minute, and it will of course also replace this with the Mindbender. From darkness comes light is insane as discipline and holy. Every time you're casting either a smite or a heal, there's a 15% chance that your next flashlight will be instant and have no mana cost, and you can stack this buff up to 2 times before you consume each of them. With that being said, for Shadow Priest it isn't bad either. Every time your Vampiric Touch does periodic damage, there's a 20% chance that your next Mind Spike will not consume your damage over time effects, become instant cast, cost no mana, and deal an additional 50% damage, and this you can also stack up to 2 times. At level 60 you can choose a passive Angelic Bulwark. I don't really like this, because it's forcing you to drop below 30% health before you will even take advantage of this. It can be useful in some PvP situations, but in PvE it's not really good. The next choice is absolutely insane for PvP, as it turns the priest stealth for the next 6 seconds. In some PvE situations it's also pretty useful. And if you combine this together with, for example, Angelic Feather at level 30, the talent I talked about earlier, then you can run around super quickly and easily get to a target and fear them. For those of you wondering how it looks from the other point of view, you can see it right here. The feathers disappearing, and all of a sudden the priest is at the location fearing the paladin. The last option, Desperate Prayer. An instant heal that heals the priest for 30% of the total maximum health, and it's a 2 minutes cooldown. This is what I always pick when I'm playing PvE, as the talent is useful for every single encounter. The other two doesn't really benefit you much when you're doing PvE. At level 75 we can pick yet another passive, Divine Insight. As discipline it's so insane. Every time you're casting Penance, there's a 100% chance that your next Power Word Shield will not only ignore, but also cause no weakness sold effect. So you can cast 2 shields in a row. As holy, it's definitely not bad. When you're casting Greater Heal or Prayer of Healing, there's a 40% chance that your next Prayer of Mending will not trigger a cooldown. In other words, you can also cast 2 of these in a row and it will jump to each target instantly. In other words, the Holy Priest just became even better at AoE healing, and it can be useful during many different encounters or when you're solo healing in 5-man dungeons. In fact, I like this passive no matter what specialization I'm playing. When I'm playing Shadow, I just like to use Shadow Weight Pain on as many targets as possible, because now there's also a 5% chance that every time it does a bit of damage, it will reset the cooldown of my Mind Blast, make it instant, and also no mana cost. So all you need to do is just to make sure you apply Shadow Weight Pain to as many targets as possible for your Divine Insight to have a higher chance of proccing, or well, be proccing more frequently. During quicker fights, where you can for example not multi-dot, you can pick Power Infusion. You then combine it with other cooldowns and your trinkets to quickly kill the target, where Divine Insight is for more targets, or for example, if you need to do a lot of AoE healing. The last option is Twist of Fate, another passive that increases your damage and healing done by 15% for the next 10 seconds, but it requires you to also either be damaging or healing a target below 35% health. In many situations it's not that great for Shadow, but in raid situations where there's constantly going to be raid members dropping below 35% health, well, then you will also be having this buff constantly. At level 90 we can pick Halo, that does a huge explosion. Not only does it do damage, but it also heals nearby friendly players. You can use this when you need to damage and heal at the exact same time. The next option, Divine Star. Instead of casting a huge explosion, you will instead be casting a star in the direction your character is facing. The star will be damaging all hostile enemies in its path and also be healing friendly players at the same time. And as the star is moving back to the priest, it will be doing the exact same. This can be useful when you're for example also doing PvP and there's a nearby stealth character. The last option is Cascade. It's going to be a spell you cast on a specific target, and as the target is being either healed or damaged, there will be spawning different bolts that will spread to either other hostile enemies or other friendly players, and these will either damage or heal those targets. So like I mentioned in the beginning, the priest will receive amazing changes in Mist of Pandaria, but this is not going to be the only class. Therefore, I will be covering all the other classes and post those in upcoming videos, together with other useful guides for Mist of Pandaria. Make sure to subscribe to get notified when I post those. And as always, thank you so much for watching and have an amazing day. Peace.